It's just super transparency, right? It's being able to just kind of show everything that's going on, making sure that you're covered, all the bases, giving access to all of that. Some people want to just see everything and others just want to know, okay, what's going to be my return?
Hi everyone, welcome to NextGen Wealthcast. Today I have my very good friend Mike Desrosiers with me, and we are going to be talking about investing in various different asset classes. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Akash. Fantastic. I'm super excited to be here. Love getting together with you anytime. Obviously, we've done business together and I'm super excited to be on your podcast. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Mike, hey, let our audience know a little bit about yourself, your background, how you got into investing altogether.
Yes, I mean, I've been an investor all my life, so investing really started long. I'm a true entrepreneur. I've been self-employed my entire life, really just did some college right into business, owning my own business. I've always had rentals, one way or another. Then I have been more in advertising and promotions and marketing and that kind of business. But what's interesting is that, all those years of doing that, kind of my side hustle was real estate. And I was always buying rentals. I did some flips, we're talking back in 80s here and
You're dating
90s and so
yourself, my
on.
friend.
I know a few things because I've been through a few things, right? But it's been a fun ride. And I live in California. California's, not always the best state for investing multifamily and things, but honestly, I've made quite a bit of money in real estate in California. I've done that over the years, again, between my own flips and just investing in others and having rentals, taking the money that I had from this other advertising business and investing it into real estate. And at the end of the day, the real estate was worth way more than the business that I've been involved with, right? So they've done well, but nothing grows like real estate where it just grows. It's pretty amazing. Certainly in California, obviously, we've seen a lot of appreciation over the years. But then, I got involved in multifamily and got exposed to some of the training and education on syndications and how to kind of put that together and actually raise capital. That was kind of an aha moment for me, getting into that around maybe 2017, and realizing that I can buy out of state, I can raise capital, I can buy these larger properties, right? $10 million type properties, $50 million properties that seemed unrealistic really before, but with the right training, you understand how that works. And so I got super excited about it and actually bought my first apartment building myself in Las Vegas. I just wanted to buy it myself, run it myself, pretty much just wanted to feel all the pain points before I started going out for investor money. I felt I could raise capital for it. I've been, very responsible entrepreneur, all of my life, right, with many great connections. And so I felt like, there's a lot of people that trusted me and that I could easily raise capital. But I wanted to, just to that point, I wanted to make sure I felt the pain points first myself before I exposed, investors to that. So I bought this property in Vegas, ran it, self-managed, just went through all of that. And it worked, surprisingly well, surprisingly easy. And I actually then quickly got invited into another team that was acquiring properties in Texas, which wasn't necessarily my choice at first as far as a territory or a region. But they brought me into a deal, 60 unit deal out of College Station, Texas. And I also brought with, I put in some of my own money, I raised a little bit of money, but I also come with a lot of experience in business. So, they really liked that. And I was able to help with kind of operations systems a bit, kind of putting some of those pieces together. So they quickly invited me into another deal and then another deal. And then I got invited into a 426 unit property in Kansas City, with another team that was introduced to. And then I got into my own deal in Fort Worth, Texas. And so it just really snowballed really quickly from there. And then Texas, became my market, right? Which is a funny story. I'll tell it really quick because I know we don't have a lot of time. But for years, my wife is from Houston, right? So she's a Texan. She's actually lived in California longer than she has Texas. But she always, kind of teases because she has family there. And she says, hey, have you thought about moving to Texas? Maybe we could move there. I'm born and raised in California. I've lived here all my life. I'm always going, no, I am not moving to Texas. That is not happening. We are right here. But then all of a sudden I started, acquiring all these, properties and assets. And then all of a sudden I'm coming back to her and I'm saying, hey, well, Texas doesn't look so bad now. I think I got a lot of business there. But of course, we had a granddaughter born, and she said, no way, I am not leaving. We are staying close to my granddaughters.
Mike, you and I have been in a few deals together, and one of the deals that, you are in the Silicon Valley. So one of the deals that we have done together that we are a part of, both of us, is with IA Seed Ventures. It's a venture capital firm. So I know that you invest more not only in multifamily but in other asset classes as well. Talk to us a little bit about, hey, how you figure out how much of your portfolio is other asset classes versus multifamily. How do you decide where to put your money in, so on and so forth?
Absolutely. Well, I love it's an early stage investment fund, mostly in AI related, tech related companies, right? Insurance companies, medical companies, things like that that are infusing AI into it. So I'm super excited about that. Again, just being an entrepreneur and somebody who just loves, technology and loves being involved in companies like that. And right. So that was really exciting for me to be part of that, and excited all the time, just looking at all the companies that team members look at. And, obviously they pass on most of them, less than one of 100 gets chosen. Right. But it's really fun to watch that and be part of that, and, help with any of the decision making if at all possible. So I enjoy it. And to answer your question, it's just diversifying your portfolio. I mean, real estate is fantastic, but you don't want all your eggs in one basket. So it works well.
One of the things that I've heard is wealth gets made in two places in the USA, and one of them is real estate, and the other one is startups. And I believe both of us are very passionate about the both of those areas. So it is
Yes.
really good to have you in my corner with both those asset classes. Those of you who may not know, but Mike is an expert in capital raising and in multifamily in general, picking up the right properties, doing the due diligence, and helping the properties all the way through, and in returning investor money with multiplying it and returning it back to the investors. So, Mike, we appreciate everything that you do for the LPs there. Now, help us understand. In 2024 and 2025 has been a little bit of a bad years, if you may, from a multifamily perspective. It's been a down years, like in any real estate cycles. How have you fared in 2024, 2025? Have you invested in bunch? Have you held back? How does the future look for you? How does 2026 look for you? Talk to us through over the last couple of years and what the whole future horizon looks like.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the last couple of years has been very challenging. It's been, interest rates going up, inflation, cost of insurance and taxes and things like that have really, hit hard in a lot of these different properties. And so, it's been a fight. I've had to, there's been some serious challenges that I've had to deal with. But, at the end of the day, it's not about what happens. It's about how you handle it and how you pivot and how you're able to adjust, and your team members that you're working with, right, and making sure that they're all on the same page with that. So, there's been kind of a lot of that going on. I've been primarily pencils down over the last, over this because just of what's been happening. I have been in a couple of acquisitions that just made perfect sense and, very low risk, and weren't tied to those kind of economics. And so those are doing well. My forecast, though, I truly believe going forward, it's a fantastic time. I think, if you can get into a deal today that makes sense today with the interest rates the way they are and just the economics of the way they are, as long as you're not going into it with very aggressive rent bumps and aggressive, it's kind of, to me, somewhat, it's, when you buy a property to think that you're going to all of a sudden day one, do so much better than the last owner, right? That's just not a good way to go into it. It's very possible and hopefully, probable, but you don't want to bank on that, right? And so, because, as you get into properties and, there's always the unseen things that show up, and it takes some time to stabilize, right? And probably a year to just get yourself knowing the property really well, get those leases turning and figuring out exactly, what you can get in rent bumps in your market. Again, I feel if you can get into a property now that cash flows in today's market, I think when we start looking at, 3 years, 5 years, obviously 10, anything down the road, it's a very bright outlook for multifamily.
Very cool, sir. Hey, let's talk a little bit about Mike himself. Hey, you mentioned a granddaughter. Obviously, I've met your beautiful wife as well. Talk to us a little bit about who Mike is. What's your why? What do you do in your spare time, if you have any?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love to travel as you do, Akash. I know, and we've shared some of that. Done quite a bit of travel. I've really enjoyed just being able to get out and see the world and enjoy some of the things that it's got to offer. That's been a lot of fun for me and for my wife. We've done that with some family trips. Some that's been brought my daughter, and now she's not traveling so much with the granddaughter. But also, I'm a real outdoors activity guy as well too. I've always live in California. I'm fairly close to Lake Tahoe. 3-4 hours away there, and snow skiing and doing the winter activities as well as the summer activities and the hiking and biking. And I ride motorcycles. I'm always had that since a kid. And dirt bikes, and so I've done a lot of adventure type of things as well too that I love.
Very cool, sir. And hey, what about any other? Are you a foodie? Do you? I know you and I have had a few drinks here and there. What kind of drinks do you like? Come on, let us in. Let us into your who you are.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm definitely foodie. Close to San Francisco. It's a lot of fantastic restaurants there. I don't live in the city, but I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, and always looking for a nice dining experience and entertainment. I love both of that. I'll definitely, I've been known to drink a nice old fashioned once in a while and enjoy that in an evening, and even a cigar. So, but
Stogies and bourbon, sir. Stogies and bourbon.
everything's good in moderation,
Of
right?
course, of course. Hey, Mike. Also, there's a few LPs and a bunch of GPs watching our podcast here. Hey, who is your typical avatar when you are looking to raise money for us for a property, for a multifamily property, or for us? I know you have some self storage as well. Hey, what are you? Who is your typical avatar? What are you going after? Who are the people who are going to be comfortable with your investing style, with the properties that you generally pick? Talk
Yeah,
to our LPs and GPs a little bit about that as well.
absolutely. Well, for me, it's just, I think I naturally and organically am attracted to and attract, others that are like me in the entrepreneur space, business owners, previous business owners, anything in the professional industry. Obviously, my marketing company was tied to the high tech industry and the biotech industry. So I deal with a lot of those executives in the high tech and biotech sectors as well. And, I'm able to relate really well with them. But primarily it's because I feel confident with what I do and how I deliver the information to investors. And it's because I was an investor. I am an investor. But, as I said earlier in the podcast, I made my money investing in real estate as a side hustle while I was doing my day job, right? And running a company. And that's really what, at the end of the day, what turned into the greatest wealth, right? Is not from that daily grind or that daily job. It's from the investments that I made on the side. And so I relate really well to that. And I'm a real huge advocate of that. And I love sharing that with others. I mean, it's a real passion of mine to be able to, to invest people's money and give high returns back just like that, like it did for me, and doing it with them I really enjoy. I completely enjoy
Very, very cool.
that.
Very cool, Mike. Hey, another question around that itself. So, hey, when investors come to you and they talk about, Mike, are you the sponsor or are you the capital raiser? How do you get them comfortable saying that, hey, you have done your due diligence or the fact that, hey, you're putting your own money into the deal? How do you get them comfortable around due diligence and that their money is going to be safe with you?
Yeah, I mean, it's just super transparency, right? It's being able to just kind of show everything that's going on, making sure that you're covered all the bases, giving access to all of that. Some people want to just see everything, and others just want to know, okay, what's going to be my return? And, we'll set up, a file, a portal, and Google Drive that has everything in it, everything from inspections to financial, term sheets to, everything, along with obviously PPM document and business organization documents. And then, they can go through that as much as they want or as little as they want. That's just, my job is just to basically be transparent about that and make it available to investors, to other general partners, and obviously knowing your general partners really well too. If you're looking coming in to sponsor a deal, it's really key to know those people really well. Obviously you can only know them so well getting started, but just starting that relationship with them, talking about their past business experience and what they've done, and it's somewhat of a gut feeling that you get. But, when you've been in business as long as I have, the gut reaction is usually pretty correct.
That's amazing, Mike. Got another question around the fact that, hey, these days, hey, I play with AI a lot. I know you play with AI a lot. How is AI enabling your search for properties, your due diligence, your finding the capital with the investors? Help us understand what your AI stack looks like and or what kind of AI tools are you using and how are you using them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, AI is fantastic. What a fantastic world we're in, right? And where the future's going is going to be, I think, amazing on that. Hopefully, it's all for the positive. But it doesn't necessarily do the work for you. It just because you have to trust. You have to. You trust but verify. Same thing, with AI, right? AI will, what it does do is it'll bring up red flags. It'll for sure point you in a direction of things that you need to look at. It might bring up, and it will probably bring up things that you may not have seen and then or thought of, and then you're able to go in and dig into it further, and you can use the AI to do that, right? And then ultimately at the end, you're going to go in and use your traditional due diligence methods to verify, but it certainly makes it a lot faster, a lot easier, and I think it's just having another very smart set of eyes looking at it. So it's a very smart business partner.
Well, very well said, Mike. Hey, it will not do everything for you. It can help you point in the right directions. But hey, we really do need the human brain. It's an assistant, if you may. I very well agree with a lot of that. Mike, you live in the Bay Area, and lately the properties in the Bay Area, hey, they have become a little bit more reasonable than they used to be in the past. Are you looking in your backyard for some properties? How is the Bay Area market looking like? I know for investors and even for GPs, the local regulation in California and in the San Francisco area can be a little bit challenging. People are afraid of it. Talk to us a little bit about your local landscape and how you are viewing some opportunities in the Bay Area itself.
I am actually, for the first time in several years, is looking. We're looking at property right in San Francisco, as a matter of fact, multifamily properties. It's just opportunities that arise. San Francisco actually was one of the top markets for rental increases actually over this last year. It's a little bit skewed because it was so high pre-pandemic, and then pandemic happened, and San Francisco did have a little hard time recovering from the pandemic as far as occupancy and rentals in the city itself because it was so high. And so, we saw rents drop quite a bit, which we really haven't seen that in San Francisco in, I don't know, ever. I can never remember it happening in San Francisco. So there's a little bit of window opportunity there because they are starting to come back. The city is coming back. There's a new mayor in town. There's doing a lot of different things, with the crime and homeless and drugs and things like that have been an issue. And San Francisco is pretty much the AI capital of the world, right? You've got some major companies that are located right there downtown San Francisco, and a ton starting up all the time. And so there's a lot of high-paying jobs there still in the city. So we're finding that opportunity. And the other part about it is, and I get this question all the time, that people are that are looking maybe for me to sponsor a deal for them, or they're getting into maybe their first deal, and they're questioning the market, right, and where to go into their market, and especially from California, or they're from a kind of a non-landlord friendly state. But I'm a real big advocate of boots on the ground, and so if you live in that market, it's all, even San Francisco, as bad as rent control is horrible in San Francisco. I mean, it's horrible for investors, right? It's great for the tenants there, but it's pretty overboard. But if you live there and you understand it and you know how to navigate it, it's not bad. You can navigate around it. It's not that you're going to get around the rent control or do like that. You have to just participate with whatever's legal. But if you understand the do's and don'ts and you get into the deal knowing that, it's not a scary thing, right? It actually it can be very, like, for instance, this property that we were looking at, it was almost 50% occupied, right? Which is, a smaller unit in the high 20s as far as units go. But in San Francisco, that's actually a good thing because you want it low occupancy because you can rent for, it's only the existing tenants that are under rent control, right? You can only move their rents up like, 1.5%, per year, right? It's a very small amount. But the empty units, you can rent them for whatever you can get. So there's no restrictions there. So it actually opens that window up to buy a property with low occupancy, fill up the units, and then that property is worth a lot more as soon as you do.
Very cool. No, that's some nuggets. I believe I've heard from you that hey, whoever is buying in the Bay Area or in San Francisco or in some of these rent control states, as long as you know the market and know how to navigate around some of those regulations without breaking those
Yeah,
regulations, I think it can be a lucrative deal.
that's right. I'm in another deal in Portland, which is also a landlord, a non-landlord friendly state of Oregon, but it's doing extremely well. 100% occupied, never missed distributions. It's really running one of the smoother properties in the portfolio, honestly. 100% occupied. You don't see a lot that are 100%, but
That's very cool. Mike,
going
you
well.
talk a little bit about your advising business. I know a little bit about that. Why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about just a couple of minutes about your Silicon Maps business?
Yeah, sure. It's interesting. It's kind of a strange niche business, but we do these kind of aerial view maps of high-tech regions or clusters around the country, or actually around the world. So starting with Silicon Valley, which we started way back in 1989, and doing a map of Silicon Valley. And so it's this big kind of aerial view, like if you're flying over on a hot air balloon, kind of a Google-ish map, but it's actually hand designed. And with the companies, we sell the companies to get on the map. They put their logo on there in the location, and then we sell it in a large poster which has a calendar, and then it's custom imprinted at the bottom with their company name on it. And it's always been an extremely popular product, especially in Silicon Valley. You almost can't go into a company in Silicon Valley, especially large ones, and not see one someplace. They're out there. We've been doing this for so long, and we print, tens of thousands every year. Literally millions of copies have been printed, and they stay up. We have companies that put them up every year in their conference rooms, right? And we have them like 10 years in a row, and they have 10 years of Silicon Valley maps all framed and put in their conference room. And that's where they go. They go in very public places. They'll go in the company entry areas, work areas, conference rooms, presidents' offices. Presidents, put their company because it's their company on there. And so we do the similar type product maps in other regions like Arizona for Silicon Desert, Oregon and Washington called Silicon Forest, DFW or the Northern Texas, the DFW Technoplex, East Coast Tech. And then we do another series for the bioscience industry as well, too, which is really big here in California and also on the East Coast. And they've also, each one of them have really over the years become iconic symbols of the industry and really one of the best promotional products that you can use, for that industry, right? And it's just keeps going. We have companies that, that buy thousands of copies and ship them all over the world every year.
And I believe it's been
That's
going on
about
since
it.
the 80s.
Since 1989, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Hey,
Long time. I was just born.
now, guys, hey,
Yeah.
there you have it from the entrepreneur. You're wearing many, many hats, running a Silicon Valley Maps business, as well as a lot of the other multifamily businesses, if you may. Mike, before we say goodbye to our viewers, I know you also run the Bay Area Multifamily and More, mindset group, in the Bay Area. And I know I'm fortunate to be speaking at that next event. I love that. I love that I'll be there. But talk to our viewers a little bit about what you do there, and how you have grown that group. When is the next one, and what should they be looking forward to?
Absolutely. Yeah. We're excited to have you, Akash. No doubt about it. We're excited to have you there personally, as well as just the subject you're talking about on AI is going to be amazing. We've already got a large sign up of people coming just to see you there. But it's the Bay Area Multifamily and More. It's the acronym of BAM. We love that BAM, event that we have every year. We've been doing it for probably over 4 years now. Once a month, we bring in a speaker, talks about multifamily and more. It's, sometimes can be last month, we had a speaker talking about warehouse, investing in warehouse space. We've had people talking about land. We've had assisted living facilities, talking mini storage, cold storage. I mean, all kinds of different speakers that come in, but it's all primarily real estate related. It's a terrific meetup, very well attended, very open to anybody. It's free for anybody to show up. Starts out with some nice, an hour or so of networking before a speaker starts, and they speak for maybe an hour, and then finishes up with, more networking. And we've just had a terrific attendance, and everybody seems to really like it a lot. It's primarily, like I said, it's all free. It's just kind of keeping the momentum. And one thing I love about multifamily, and I've always really loved, is that, you get into a room with other multifamily people, and, we all got the same glasses on. We're all looking through the lens kind of the same way, right? We're looking to make money, looking for opportunities. And so you get in a room like that, and it's always a great conversation. And we've had partnerships happen there. We've had deals made happen there. We've had capital raising happen there. It's not the focus for the event, but it happens just organically. So it's well attended. It's in the San Francisco Bay Area once a month. In Danville, California. This month is going to be on the
18th.
correct me.
It's on the 18th.
What time? What day? 18th. That's right, November 18th. So for sure, show up if you're in the Bay Area. Reach out to me direct, or just show up, or look for it on Google Meet or Meetup.com, and you come see Akash.
All right, great. No, hey, I'm looking forward to it, Mike. I'm traveling specifically to the Bay Area for that meetup. I am so excited about that. Mike, before we end the show, any last parting comments or advice for our LPs and GPs and people who are looking to invest in multifamily and more?
Yeah, I just, the advice is stay in the game. It's in this last couple of years, again, it's been some challenging times. We've had a lot of less people that are involved in it now, but now is a great time to get in because of that. You're not fighting so much from everybody else, but ones that stay in the game one way or another, you're ready to pounce when it happens. That's it. I mean, we've seen it for decades, right? We've seen downturns and, just different things that have happened from the dot-com era to, all different times where real estate specifically or just economy has gone down and then comes back up, but it always comes up. And when it does, it comes back up faster and higher and better than it did before. And so you've got to be ready for that, mentally, financially, right? And educationally, we need to know. You need to know what a good deal is and what it isn't. And that's really, we all get the same opportunities in life that all come around. It's just how we act, or whether we act on them or not, and when.
Great, Mike. Thank you so much for all that advice. Thank you for being on the show itself. I look forward to seeing you here shortly, but thanks again.
Thank you, Akash. Thank you.
Great. Bye.